How you doing?
Good, good. Yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you.
What's the situation like there? Are you in lockdown?
No, it's actually pretty, not, I don't want to say normal, but I mean, I'm in Florida, of course, and it's all different throughout the United States, I guess. And there has been a lot of lockdowns up in the Northeast and
Yeah.
out west and everything. And I know a lot of those states are just kind of lifting all their restrictions and everything. And, Florida's been pretty, you know, kind of wild, I guess. We're able to do pretty much everything that you'd want to do. I guess it's just kind of depending on, if you want to. A lot of the restaurants have been open. I play ice hockey. I've been playing ice hockey for months now, as to where, yeah, if I lived in New York State, I wouldn't be playing ice hockey right now. So Florida is, it's been pretty open, for the most part. So that's maybe a good thing. I don't know. I mean, who knows anymore, really? I don't know. So, I'm just, happy I'm able to do the things that I still want to do. Of course, you got to be careful, whatever, try to be safe, all those things. But but Florida's been pretty wild, I should say. We could probably play shows. There are shows happening. I mean, the touring, of course, that comes down to the whole country, right? Okay, maybe you can play in this state, but you can't play in that state. Oh, I can play in this state, but not that state. So a tour logistically would be very difficult. Now we could play shows in Florida. There has been shows happening, like maybe some of the shows may be more like half attendance, those kind of things, and you probably have to wear a mask or whatever. But they are happening. As a matter of fact, Deicide are playing here in 2 weeks. I mean, they're playing at a small little club and all that, but I mean, they're playing a show. A couple other bands we know are playing, and there has been shows coming through. So like I said, Florida being one of those states where that could happen, I guess, because I don't think it would have been able to happen in other states at this point. But who knows when we'll play a show, but they are happening.
Oh, that's what I was hoping you'd say right now.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Right. Well, I don't know if you know anything. If you know anything about where the band is, I mean, we're all in Tampa, Florida, but Alex lives in Portland, Oregon now, right? So it makes a little.
Come on, what's going on? Move.
Come back to Florida, Alex. No, yeah, I mean, that makes it obviously a little more difficult for us to say do something, locally or whatever. If he was here, maybe, we could have, but the fact that he's not, and it's difficult for him to travel, and he, understandably so, living in the Northwest. So it is what it is. But yeah. Well, but it's going to happen now with the vaccine rollout. I think things are going to start coming into play. I mean, it looks like tours are happening, getting booked in the United States and Europe and everything for the end of the year. So you're figuring, okay, it's just obviously still a matter of time. I mean, it is crazy to think that it's been a year. It seems like it's been 5 years because of how, when you can't do something for just a little short time. I know it seems like it's been forever that this has been happening, and it's only been a year, really, So and it is a long time, but in the scheme of things, it's not that long. So I know it's crazy to think, my gosh, we won't be playing until maybe the end of the year, or or next year even. Well, it could be a lot worse, I guess. But I know you get impatient, I suppose, and you just want things to be normal like they have been our whole lives, and and before that. So I don't know, crazy times.
Yes. I haven't interviewed you before, but as I said earlier, I'm a fan, and I have seen you guys play live.
Oh, nice.
But I was just interested in, who were you listening to growing up? Because you guys are trailblazers with the metal and death metal. Who were you listening to growing up?
Well, since we're, kind of older, of course, growing up in the early 80s kind of a thing, I mean, just all that early heavy metal. I mean, we were just at that time, when I'm 12, 13 years old. Well, it's 82, 83. And, there's obviously, you got bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and, and still a lot of the rock and roll bands, like, of course, like Van Halen and Rush and things like that were just, very huge at the time, and, very big for us, because that was kind of the heavy music, I feel very fortunate to have grown with the whole metal scene and the thrash scene and the death metal scene, because, then you remember, like, wow, who's this new band, Metallica? What's this? Oh my gosh. Whoa, this is crazy. This is taking it to a whole nother level of just, this is wow. I mean, amazing to be a part of that. Right. And then exactly, just keeping the whole thing rolling with bands like Slayer, and then, the whole thrash movement, where it just got, of course, way more intense with the music. And then that's when we come into play as late teens, where, of course, we want to start being in bands and, play the music that we love, and try to do our own thing. And so it was all those bands, really, all those early heavy metal bands going into the thrash movement. So many to name, like Creator and Sacrifice and Dark Angel. Those are huge influences for Cannibal Corpse. In our latter, like I said, being a latter teen, just getting into wanting to create your own music. So. And it was ever changing at that point, from 1 month to the next, or from, 6 months earlier, it was a lot different than it was 6 months later. And everything was just morphing. And I mean, it was an exciting time. But yeah, all those bands of the 80s were huge influences for us as musicians.
Yeah. And when did you first decide to pick up the drumstick?
Well, I was a latecomer in a way to the drumming. I got into music really passionately, I guess, when I was like about 10 years old, when I was into Kiss. I mean, I was just at that age, every male, probably in America, especially, if you're at my age, 10 years old, 11, around the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, well, probably more the late 70s. Yeah, Kiss was the band. And that really, took my life over, and that changed my life, but I was still, young. I'm only 10. So not that that's, a deal, but I wasn't looking to be a musician at that point. I mean, I was more of just a fan of music, and I didn't really aspire to play until a few years later. But to pick up the drumsticks, finally, I got my first drum set, I think, when I was, like I said, I was late. I was maybe 16 when I got my first drum kit, and then when you think about that, how crazy that is, because I get my first drum kit at 16, and then I'm recording, the first Cannibal Corpse record when I'm 20, so only 4 years later. I mean, that's just insane to think about, how such a quick turnaround, and that I wasn't even playing that very long, and then there you go. So, but yeah, I mean, it was just my love of the music. I have an older cousin, 2 years older than me, that was a drummer, so I was able to kind of see the drums firsthand, going over to his house, hitting the drums. My uncle actually played drums in a polka band, of all things, but I was able to see that when I was younger, seeing, I seemed to gravitate to the drumming, when I saw a band. I was like, just, I don't know, I was more fixated on watching the drummer, maybe just because there was more going on with the drummer, moving your body, and yeah, I don't know. I really got into the drumming then, when I was like, 14, 15, and then yeah, by the time I'm 16, okay, it's time. I want to be a drummer here. I want to get my own drum set and start banging away and seeing what could happen. So I guess good things have happened from that. So
definitely, and like. There's a bit of a difference, polka, but also other drumming, even rock and roll, like death metal is double time. It's more intense. It's more technical, really. I don't think many people appreciate what goes into drumming for the music.
You're right. I mean, if people don't give, like, say, heavy music, death metal a chance, they're just going to obviously think it's noise, which I kind of understand in a lot of ways. It might just go over their heads. But right, there has been a lot of people though that would sit down finally and listen and go, wow, this is really good stuff. They can maybe never get past the vocals, which I understand. I mean, so, but a lot of people will go, yeah, I really like the music. Yeah, you're doing some cool stuff. It's not my thing, but they can appreciate it. So that's good. As long as people can appreciate what we're doing, I think that's is a cool thing. But I know it is pretty intense. It's like being an athlete when you're a death metal drummer or in a death metal band for that matter. With the amount of energy you expend and the intensity of playing the instruments. It's not easy, and it's not like you said, just playing rock and roll or sitting back and grooving out or whatever. So it's a pretty physical part, pretty physical form of music. And luckily, I've been a physical person my whole life. I guess you'd have to be to become a death metal drummer. So I was always active into sports and playing ice hockey and things. And I guess it just made sense for me to be a drummer, just the way the way I am as a person.
However, in saying that, you're not a cliche drummer because you're also writing lyrics. Sorry.
Well,
there's this cliche about drummers and how
yeah.
they don't do the writing of the lyrics because they
Oh,
can't.
right. Yeah, we're drummers, right? Drummers, yeah. What do they know? No, well, yeah. Hey, I'm glad that I can get in there in the songwriting department and write some lyrics and actually write some songs on guitar. If you know enough about the band, that I've actually written some guitar songs and everything, which is pretty cool. And so I'm not your average drummer, I guess, when it comes down to. Well, that's cool. I think that's what's good about our band as well, is all of us contribute. When we got everybody, it's always great to have everybody contributing, because then it's just not gonna. It's always going to be have that diversity. When you got 3 lyricists or 4 lyricists and you got 3 songwriters or whatever. I mean, it's cool. I like that. I'm glad our band is able to do that and have that aspect for for creating. It's a cool thing.
Definitely. And before we get on to the new album, I just wanted to share an anecdote. You were banned in Australia for 10 years, and there was a fear that you'd probably never be able to tour here either. How did that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's unfortunate, of course. You never want to hear those things or those things to happen, because it's just, to us, it's just ridiculous. Of course, it's just music. Here we are, we're just a band playing our music, and who are we? What we don't understand. But at the same time, I don't think we really, let it bother us. Obviously, we're not sitting there thinking about it too much, because of course life goes on, the band goes on. We're still able to go and tour, other places, and right, we've had the problem there, and in Germany, kind of the same thing, of course. So it's just unfortunate when you really sit down and think about it, because who's really losing out here? It's really the fans. Of course we want to be everywhere and play, but like I said, we'll move on, we'll go on, we'll play other shows. But you say the Australian fans, the German fans are the ones that are going to lose out here, and it's not good. That's not cool. We're just glad that, I guess, it all kind of swept over, or whatever, that we're able to come back and play. And same thing with Germany. I mean, we just, we do our thing, and it's like little kind of speed bumps, or like little road bumps or whatever, road blocks, but very minor, that you just push out of the way, and you push off your back and you move forward. And here we are, able to come back to Australia, play Germany. So that's it's a good thing. We prevailed. Cannibal Corpse wins.
Yes. And for those who don't know, it got a bit political in Australia, and we had a really great TV show called The Chasers War on Everything, and they actually took your song and put it to lounge music.
Yes.
And
Yes.
It wasn't something that offended people, funnily enough, was it? So it was more about the music. They said it was about the lyrics and everything, but it was more about because they couldn't understand the music at the time.
Yeah, it's that, you know, what a video that was. I mean, I
Yeah,
know that went viral for the most part, and you know, it's very funny. It's very that guy did an amazing job, you know,
yeah,
doing that. And I know that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, it's great to be, you know, to be talked about, I guess, in any way. I mean, good publicity kind of a thing. And you know,
exactly.
but you know, but that was a lot of fun. I'm glad that you know, that they did that. And you know, it's good to, you know, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I haven't seen it in years. Actually, I'm gonna have to go watch that again, because that was a lot.
It's
It's
so
a
good.
lot of fun and very funny. So I'm gonna have to go check it out again.
Yeah, an anecdote is when I was in overseas, you guys happened to be playing. Here we go.
Ah, oh, nice. Yeah, that's
So
a good. Yeah,
2003, you know, you guys
yeah.
were not playing here, that's for sure, in Australia. So when I was in Greece, I went and saw you.
Oh,
And
nice, nice.
at that time, I was studying photography,
Oh, okay.
and I just didn't know whether, you know, I know in Australia we weren't allowed to take cameras into places, and
Okay.
Greece is so laid back. They're like, oh yeah, you can bring an elephant here if you want. Yeah, and then there was no pit area, which is great because that's where all the fans want to be, right up the front. And so
Right.
the tour manager just picked me up and put me on the stage, and that's where I took photos from.
Oh, nice. Awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah, so
That
it
is
was
great.
a lot of
I,
fun. So thank you.
yeah.
I got to see you.
Awesome. I'm glad you saw that. It's funny you brought that up too. Not funny, but we have a bunch of flyers in our practice facility. I mean, obviously so many throughout our career, and I happen to have that one, you know, so
Really?
that one up on there. So I see it all the time. And as soon as you know, showed me, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that one well. And it was a great time there. Yeah, awesome playing with you know, with Nuclear Assault, and
Yeah,
you know, that was a lot of fun. So I'm glad you were able to witness that show. Yeah.
it was great. Okay, so the new album. We spoke earlier about how you do write lyrics, etc. You wrote two for this new album. I was just
Right.
interested, what is the process for your band? You've got a few lyricists, but what about the music? Does the music come first? Do the lyrics come first? What happens?
It's primarily always the music that'll come first. I mean, you know, that's going to be what we're concentrating on right off the bat. You know, it's very rare that I think any of us have lyrics, you know, done already and go, oh, all right, yeah, I have a song, and I'm just going to put the lyrics to the music to that song. I don't think that's ever happened. I know I don't work that way, and I don't believe any of the other guys work that way as well. You know, a lot of times we're actually, you know, barely finishing the lyrics, you know, because we're concentrating so heavily on getting the music together that we're like, okay, now the music's done. All right, now we got to get lyrics done. And it's like, oh, well, we got to kind of get going on that, because, you know, we're running out of time now. So, um, you know, so always music first, right? You know, and then you know, then it'll stem from, if we have a song title, then, you know, that'll help. I mean, the way I work 99% of the time is I'll have a title, whomever came up with it or whatever, but at least that'll give me a start, you know. And then that's where I usually will draw my ideas from, you know, because usually the title will give you those ideas, you know. Some of them, of course, are just blunt in your face, you know what it's going to be about, you know, some of the titles. And then some might be a little more vague, and you're going, okay, you got to think for a minute. And then, you know what, maybe once you start writing, you know, you get a couple lines, you know, you just let it flow, and then, oh, all right, I'm going to go in that direction, I'm going to write about that, I'm going to go, you know, make the story about that. So so that's kind of the way I do it. But yeah, it's always music first, and then the lyrics will come second.
Excellent. And in saying that, I mean, you guys had practically finished the album last year before the pandemic. And but there's one song that may have direct link to that.
Yes. Well, what ended up happening, how it all worked out was, and that's getting to my whole thing about like the lyrics coming later, because we were just finishing the music and getting everything, you know, to go to record in April of last year. So around this time, literally around this time, end of March, was, you know, just tying up the loose ends and getting ready to go into the studio. So a lot of the lyrics still were, I think, being kind of still being worked on at this point, even though the music was done. Right now we're in that lyric mode, and I know what song you're talking about, of course, Condemnation Contagion, that Eric wrote. And you're right, I can't speak exactly for him because he wrote the lyrics as well, but I know it's definitely got a tie-in with what's happening here. He was like, okay, yeah, this is going on, he's got to finish his lyrics. I mean, it kind of came to him, he starts watching a little bit of movies and all these, the virus movies and all this kind of thing, and then obviously what's happening in the world. I mean, it's like, okay, so it did kind of tie in that Eric wrote that song, loosely, I guess, about what's happening right now. So that's it's kind of cool, because a little different for us. Usually we don't tie in anything that's kind of current event wise or anything that's happening or that has happened per se. We're probably 95% fictional, of course, with a few tie-ins here and there. But it's cool to to kind of touch on it, I guess. Why not? It is pretty horrific in its own right.
Definitely, you couldn't make that one
up. You're right.
How do you get your inspiration? Because a lot of these themes and songs are so dark.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, like I said, I end up these days, I kind of like just delve into my own imagination. I mean, I see how my process has changed or has gone over the years since I started writing lyrics, like we all have. I guess for the Vile record back in '96. So it's been, crazy to think I've been writing lyrics for, 25 years. And then I look back at how like I said, my process has changed. Early days, it was always maybe trying to gain more inspiration by watching movies and having the dictionary and having the thesaurus and, really just kind of like trying to have as much as your disposal as possible, which is cool, and I wrote some great songs that way, of course. But like, I don't know, these days, in the last few records, I just like to be more organic and just kind of like, okay, let me sit with the music. All right, we got a title. What am I writing about? Literally don't have anything else. I usually, won't watch anything. It's like, just let me bring it out from what's in. I guess I've absorbed enough probably in my life at this point, to be able just to go, all right, I can go deep, dig into my own imagination here and, come up with some cool stuff. And that's what I do. So, yeah. So it's just, it's just, bringing it out, which I don't know where it comes from, but I guess it's in there somewhere. So, that crazy non-stereotypical, you would think it would be the opposite. Exactly. I know it's probably some of the nicest fans in metal shows and in death metal shows, yeah. Everybody's just into the music, and that's what we are. We look at ourselves as, we're fairly normal people from, fairly normal backgrounds here that, we're just into some crazy, music with some crazy lyrical ideas here. And then there's a lot of people like that in the world, I guess, that they're not criminals and they're not insane and they're not lunatics or whatever. They're just normal people. And nowadays it's amazing to see how, because of us being around and death metal being around for so long, how you got, there's no stereotype anymore. Maybe in the early days, well, of course, the long guy, the people wearing the leather and the denim, okay, they're metal. Now you got doctors and lawyers and, people that you just wouldn't even expect that would be into, heavy music, and they love it and they live it and they have been maybe their whole life. So yeah, it is pretty cool to, that exactly. It's not, what people think it is, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I know there's so many, friends that I've had maybe, or people that I know that you've talked to have come to a show for the first time. Maybe they were a friend of a friend or something or whatever, but they're not into the scene and they're not into the music per se. They're coming to maybe to see somebody out of just, okay. And then, they always don't know what to expect because exactly, oh my gosh, I'm going to a death metal show. This is going to be, and then they always walk away going, wow, that was a lot of fun. That was a great time. I mean, everybody just got along and, the energy of the fans with the music and the band and, right. It's not like there was fights breaking out. I mean, it's just a good, solid, fun time, great entertainment for everybody. So that's what it's about. It's about just loving the music and, releasing, at a show for a couple hours and, or when you're listening to an album, it's taking you into another world out of reality. But right, I think everybody for the most part in metal and death metal are fairly stable, normal people, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. definitely. It's probably what keeps them stable and normal.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They're able to, like you said, yeah, go and release for a little bit, get their frustrations out by hearing and, yeah, yelling or whatever, and then they're back to reality. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. That's a great thing
I
about
can't wait
music.
for you guys to tour again. How does it feel like this is an album that you're released without touring? How's that feel?
Yeah, it's crazy, because normally, exactly, we'd be going on the road. We'd actually had already been on the road because the album would have came out, say, in November of last year, right? And then you're out on the road, and we're well into the cycle now, and that's been your kind of mentality for years because it's almost embedded in your psyche because right, you record, you write and record a record, and then you tour, and then you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. That's what we've been doing for a long time. So for us to write a record now and then to put it out and to go, where's the tour? It's a little strange, and then of course for us and in a lot of bands, I mean, it's our livelihood. It's, it's our business. It's how we make a living. So it's, it's very unfortunate that we can't be out there, in that aspect, so that's not fun, but yeah, you get used to it. You want to play for the fans. You know how important it is to them, to be able to put out a record, or even if you don't put out a record, just to be out playing shows. How important that is, for everybody, and so it's weird. It's very strange. So we're obviously, I'm sure I speak for everybody. Everyone's looking forward, in every band and every genre to get out there finally and to be able to play shows and, get it somewhat back to normal. And, and like the fans, everybody wants to go and start seeing and being entertained and being, seeing live music. It's such a vital part of life, so it's.
With this new album, was there any song that was particularly challenging for you or even rewarding?
They were all challenging. Oh my gosh, it was tough. This was a very difficult album for me. If you heard it, of course, it's a very drum heavy album. It's a very intense record. It's got a lot of speed. It's just, and you know what? It's got a lot going on mentally. Two songs in particular really they drove me nuts, and I mean, it took me just such a long time to absorb and to play them, and they really aren't that physical. They, somewhat, but the song Slowly Sawn, and the last song on the album, Cerements of the Flayed, they were both very, very mentally draining to me because they were hard to grasp, because those are songs that Alex wrote, and then I ended up pretty much playing the drum parts that Alex came up with for these songs, and like I said, they're not out of my ability physically, but mentally it's stuff that I probably wouldn't be coming up with in the drumming department. So, I'm having to learn that, and it's just like a slow process, and it's very tedious, and it's just like, it kind of drove me nuts a little bit there, and then of course, when I got it, you finally got it, and you're like, all right, then it's rewarding because you at first you'd think there's no way I can do this. And then, right, you do it finally, and you're like, wow, all right, that was awesome. I can do it. So,
you tell the band that there's no way you're doing that it's not going to be on the set list.
There's a couple that'd be very difficult, I mean, this album in particular, there's a lot of hard songs, I mean, I think, yeah, maybe the good thing about our band, when you have 15 records, you got to play a lot of old stuff, and you can't play like all the new stuff. I mean, as much as you may want to and all that, but yeah, this would be a tough album to kind of like really to tackle all of it or to play a lot of it, so I guess we'd be open to playing anything, but some of these are very difficult. They'd be very hard to do. Like I said, Cerements of the Flayed, actually, I never thought I'd be able to really get. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just crazy, and then I finally got it, and I can do it fairly well, I mean, I can play the song, but that's me playing at a practice. Maybe if I'm in a live setting, maybe a different story. Maybe I start.
I really like it as a closer to the album as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, it's a great song to end the record with. I mean, very different, very cool. It's got a lot of moods, very a little bit different, than what we normally have. And yeah, just a great, album closer, like you said. So it made sense to us. But yeah, that song turned out great. That's one of my favorites actually on the record. So I'm glad I was able to play it.
Yeah.
I wrote the lyrics for Cerements of the Flayed,
Right.
but I didn't write the drum parts. So that was the challenging part, when you're actually having to, in a sense, learn somebody else's drum parts. Alex wrote those drum parts knowing, I'd be able to do them because they're within my physical abilities. But right, mentally, it's just so different than my thought process that it was so challenging and so hard to grasp. So if I would have came up with the drum parts myself, well, then right, it'd be obviously a little easier because I'm the one that came up with them, and it's coming from my mentality or my perspective, I guess. But that was good. It's good to have that challenging aspect. Just like I said about the diversity of the band, having all the creators. It's not like I have to say, oh no, I'm not gonna. I have to write all the drum parts because I'm the drummer. Well, I don't. I mean, right? If guys got ideas and that fit the songs that are meant to be like Alex did, then so be it. I just gotta work that extra harder, to be able to pull it off. So that's good. It keeps it fresh, because right, I probably wouldn't have came up with those parts, and then the song would be completely different. Would it be as good? Probably not. So that's a cool thing. It's a cool aspect.
I think from what you're saying, the longevity of your band is definitely, you communicate really well, the whole band, and it doesn't seem to be any egos, which is another good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a band, right? You have to be a band. It can't be just an individual here. We want to be a democracy, and we are, and that's, I think, what's kept us together. Exactly. You don't always agree, of course, but when you got 5 guys in a band, sometimes it's obviously, maybe 3 guys go one way, 2 guys go another way, or 4 to 1. I mean, that's just the way it's going to have to be and go. And to make a band work, you're going to have that give and take. So exactly, very important and a big part of why we're still here today, and still doing it, because we can all come together as one and just do what's right for the band, and that's key.
Your video clips, Inhumane Harvest, that film clip, wow.
Pretty intense, I guess. I mean, right. Hey, we didn't come up with that. I mean, we came up with the lyrics, of course, and the song, and obviously you want to kind of have a good visual representation of what the song's about. And the director, David Brodsky, I mean, just did an amazing job at doing the visuals, of course, to that, because like everybody else, right, we know what he's going to make, and until you finally see it, and when we finally saw the video, it's like, man, this is intense. This is pretty crazy. Right. And then exactly, we're hearing the response from, the fans and the people going, wow, even the people that know us that are used to it, they're just going, man, that got me, that's pretty horrific. That's, I can't think of the word. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but but it definitely, people were moved by it for sure, so I guess, hey, we're Cannibal Corpse, right? We need to do that. We need to have that element in the video department. So it's I guess it's a good thing, because it's just like a little mini movie, right? It's not real, but that's cool. We like doing it that way. And I think another cool factor, what we've incorporated in the videos in the last couple, that if you notice, where we're not in the video, where it's more just like, and why do you have to be in the video? To me, it's just we're taking away from the storyline of the video. You're just seeing us play in a field, or you're seeing us play somewhere where it's not real, kind of a thing, right? Where I think, in our opinion, well, yeah, let's make it little mini movies like that, and I think it's actually better. I like it, and I think the fans seem to dig it as well. They don't need to see us. I think everybody knows what we look like, and you're going to see us live, and that's how you're going to be seeing us play. So why not make a video like the way they are, with Inhumane, and I know we did it for Code of the Slashers, and and things like that. So I think it's a great way of making videos. Yeah,
I loved it. It was great. It was
good.
Awesome. One of the ones where it was so horrific, but you just couldn't look away.
Well, that's what you want, right? That's what we want as Cannibal Corpse. That's what, yeah, that's what we need. That's what we're, I think we did well then in that way.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you. I know we're nearly out of time. Just a few more questions. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem.
Any impressions or favorite moments in Australia?
Let's see. Yeah, that's a tough one. I remember seeing kangaroos for the very first time. That was incredible. I love animals of all sorts, and that was incredible. That was just seeing them in the wild like that. I remember our promoter took us to like a park, or I forgot where we went, like a park or something. Just like, oh, hey, we can go, to this park, and they're going to come out at night, or they're going to come out, and just like, like deer would come out here in America. You don't have to go to like a sanctuary. If you go to the right spots, then you may see some of that. And I think that's what it was. And that was just amazing to see. I remember that was incredible. I remember seeing a bunch of rose-breasted cockatoos for the very first time, like all in a tree at once. I'm just like looking up going, holy, look at this. There's a rose-breasted cockatoos right in front of me. And this is amazing. Incredible. You're not going to see that anywhere else. Where are you going to see that? So I remember seeing a giant fruit bat once too, when we were driving. I remember driving, I don't know, it was to a show, from a show, sound check, I can't remember, but we were in the van, and I just remember looking over going, oh my gosh, look at that. And it just flew down and went into like a bush, like in somebody's front yard. And I'm like, holy, it was so huge. And just seeing a fruit bat like that was so amazing to me. So those are probably right the things that actually I remember more than anything. Of course we've had great shows and all that, but the wildlife, man, I love the Australian wildlife. We got to do this one time. Every band does it, right? They go to the zoo or the sanctuaries to hold the koala bears, of course, to see them. We've never done that, and I'm so upset that I'm like, how have I never held a koala bear yet? I know everybody does. All these bands that we know, everybody goes, and then you see the pictures. I'm like, oh man, what the heck? How have we never done this? This is, so that is definitely important and very key for the next time we come back to Australia. I am holding a koala bear, because that it has to be done, right?
Last two questions. How would you describe your sound in food form?
Wow, that's interesting. It's tough for me to come up with these metaphors, especially since I'm vegetarian too. I was going to say it's like pounding. Yeah, it's like pounding raw meat, but is that even a food form? More raw meat is a food form. Everyone associates like death metal with, gore and blood and, I always hear that, oh, you're a Cannibal Corpse and you're a vegetarian. You don't eat raw meat, like, no, sorry. Even when I wasn't a vegetarian, I didn't eat raw meat. So, so that's a tough one to answer, but we'll go with the raw meat, I guess.
My last question. Our magazine is called What's My Scene? So what is your scene?
What's my scene, right? What's my scene? I don't know what my scene is. My scene is, animals, just, peace, just, I don't know. Just like the normal kind of thing that, you want in the world, I guess. Whether that's cheesy or, but to each their own, I just, just want to be happy. Just enjoy life. I think that's my scene. Just, life's too short not to be, to be doing what you'd love to do, and, to, try to be as happy as you can be. And, I guess that would be my scene.
That's excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this, and it was great talking to you. So.